Big overtime discussion with the firefighters on Smith Hill this week.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
I got to tell you, there's a real difference between town administrations and the firefighter unions across the state right now on a pending bill up for discussion tomorrow in the House of Representatives for overtime pay over 42 hours. Now, we've had some fiascos here in the state, including the way the firefighter deal in Providence was handled. And you know, I have to remind y'all that you have to take a look at all of these contractual issues, sometimes disputes, in and of themselves, specifically for the context that they're argued in. Meaning, I don't believe that every firefighter conversation is the same. Just because they are the same gig and they're unionized doesn't mean that the circumstances are the same from one town to the next. I was aghast at how the city of Providence handled the Providence firefighter situation, and that ended up being a regular work week of 42 hours. The new president of the Firefighters Union is here to talk about it on more of a broader scale, I think, because the city of Providence more or less is, I think, resolved this matter. But there are communities all across the state right now that are aghast and gasping for air on how they're going to be able to afford this whole thing. So we'll get to that tonight. It's great to have you aboard. Thank you very much for tuning in on Monday evening. In the meantime, just wanted to touch base on this really sticky presidential issue now. Headline: he's getting all cranky about his taxes. Let me give you the latest that we had from the network late last week and then add some new stuff from the weekend.
During a meeting with the Chinese vice premier, President Trump addressed demands from House Democrats that the IRS hand over his tax returns.
They'll speak to my lawyers, they'll speak to the Attorney General.
Will you direct the IRS to do that?
They'll speak to my lawyers and they'll speak to the Attorney General.
House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal sent the request to the IRS Wednesday. Republicans accused Democrats of playing politics.
But I do think that there has been a concerted effort just to screw with him and to constantly harass him, and I think it's part of that.
The president did not discuss reports in the New York Times and Washington Post that some members of special counsel Robert Mueller's team believe Attorney General William Barr mischaracterized their findings. President Trump's team says it's time to move on and says it's time to end the attacks on the president.
They've wasted 2 years of their life, and they need to find a way to validate it.
The House Judiciary Committee voted Wednesday to give its chairman, Jerry Nadler, subpoena authority on the Mueller report.
Our system of checks and balances demands that Congress get the full Mueller report and all the underlying evidence.
Meanwhile, the president also doubled down on threats to levy tariffs on Mexico.
We've told them, if you don't do that, we're going to close the border. But before we close the border, we'll put the tariffs on the cars.
The president travels to the southern border on Friday.
You know, just as an aside, hashtag release the report, hashtag. Now everything has to be referenced in the context of Twitter language? Even Jerry Nadler at the podium? Oh, God bless us all. Anyway, look, Mick Mulvaney, the chief of staff for the president, this weekend on the weekend shows said, hey, you know what? Fat chance, meaning never will the Democrats see the president's tax return. Now, look, I've never been a big one on demanding tax returns from people who are running for office, whether it be for local dog catcher all the way up to the president. But it has been tradition that the presidential candidates would release their tax returns because conflicts of interest are what you might be able to determine from tax returns. And so let them go. With the Russian probe and all this kind of thing, it's a dangling participle. This president, 2 years before he was elected, said that he would absolutely release his tax returns. Then during the campaign, it was, well, I got an audit. And it's been audited ever since. Now it's never. The White House is trying to say, well, listen, the American people elected him without a tax return, so this is all just Democrats arguing up a tree. Wait a second. The American people heard him say, when the audit is over, I'll release my tax returns. That was the argument all the way up until Election Day. So this notion that America was just fine with never seeing anything from him is just not true. They will probably, meaning the Democrats, will probably lose this fight. I'm guessing that the IRS, the Attorney General, maybe even the courts will weigh in for the president's protection on this matter. But don't forget, we have an election in 2020, and this will be hanging over Donald Trump. So there's more than one way to skin a cat on both sides of that aisle, okay? Next issue, I just wanted to catch up because on Fridays we tape our programs on Thursday, and this came down late in the week. Mayor Elorza cries uncle on the water supply sale. He's a little like Donald Trump in a way. He's just learned how complicated this is. Check this out.
Asking our sponsors to pull this bill from consideration.
Providence Mayor Jorge Elorza dropping plans to try and monetize the city's water supply amid opposition from lawmakers, ratepayers, and environmental groups.
Pulling this off would have been massively complicated politically, financially, logistically. From an environmental standpoint, there were really significant concerns.
Elorza proposed the plan to try and raise money for the city's $1 billion unfunded pension liability. The water supply in the Scituate Reservoir, controlled by the Providence Water Supply Board, is worth an estimated $400 million. But the Water Supply Board isn't allowed to make a profit on it, which is why legislation was introduced year after year at the State House to monetize the water supply. But it received little support, with many concerned that rates for customers could go up if the water was bought or leased.
We knew that it didn't have a chance at the State House if our entire city wasn't behind it.
As for shoring up the city's finances, the mayor says they are now seeking new ideas. He does not want the city to declare bankruptcy.
If you think things are difficult now, then you have no idea the pain that would be inflicted if we do go into receivership or bankruptcy. Under every scenario, bankruptcy should be avoided.
He sat right here and I told him that. I have to tell you, pulling the bill was so late in the game in terms of what was out there in the reality. He had no Providence legislative juice on this. He kept banging this drum and there was nobody listening. And so now it's like, oh, guess what? New development, it's not going to work. No, old development, it wasn't going to work. The challenge for the mayor is to come up with a program that really helps this dilemma that the city of Providence has, not just their day-to-day stuff. Day-to-day, the city is back in a little bit of better shape. But the unemployment, I should say, the post-employment benefits or other post-employment benefits, you see the acronym OPEB, and the pensions themselves across the board, enormous still for the city of Providence. And every major city in this community is going to have to figure out a way with the state to get some relief on that, because if not, all bets are off for everybody. Here's a headline that is the subject of our conversation this evening. Mandated overtime pay, big to do at the State House. And Derek Silva is the new president of the Providence Firefighters Union, ran uncontested in November. What did Dowdy just kind of like hand over the king's crown? Is that what he did?
I hope that our membership felt that I was the next one.
Well, diplomatic and defensive, properly so. But I'm so used to. How long was Paul Dowdy the president of the Firefighters Union?
14 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think Providence Firefighters. I think Dowdy. He did a good job. But you were on his board for quite some time. You're completely familiar with what's going on there. Why do you think you were unopposed?
I think when the membership looked at what's ahead for us, that someone with experience, someone with 7 years underneath Paul Dowdy was the best bet.
Your arguments on the overtime bill, it's kind of unique to have the Providence Firefighters here to talk about that, in the sense that you guys resolved this already with the last contract. Remind everybody what that battle was all about.
We did. Providence Firefighters worked that 56-hour work week for 18 months to make no mention. Interimly. And the city saw a disaster unfold. They spent $16 million in overtime and pay associated with that change, and spent another 9.8 settling it to bring us back to 42 hours. So I think even if you would ask the mayor now, that was certainly not a success.
No. Hard on the guys and gals. Well, do you have any women yet in the firefighting department?
Providence has a number of them. If I had to say it off the cuff, about 20 or so.
Okay. So for the men and women of the fire department, you've experienced the 56-42 because you had a transition. Because understand, this is very complicated. Where am I? Where's the red light? There we are. This is very complicated stuff. Communities have moved to this 3-platoon system because they think they're going to be able to save money and perhaps have less firefighters, which means they move from, and Derek could explain it better, they move from what is the 10-10, 14-14.
That's right.
Which is you work 4 days straight, 10 hours, and then 14 hours, 14 hours. And those shifts kind of change, right?
Right, and then there's followed by 4 days off, and then it rotates out. That's
right, so 4 days on, 4 days off, and that is the 42-hour schedule.
Right.
The 56-hour schedule is what?
So in Providence, there's a number of variations. In Providence, it was still the 10-10, 14-14, followed by 2 days off and repeat.
Okay.
So they condense the days off.
But that's not the only formula for 56.
There's 24 on, 48 off. North Kingstown does another variation. There's a number of different variations.
All right, so now that you know that, when we come back, we will talk about which one is better, and then what are we going to do when we are over 42 hours in any community in this town, and how are we going to pay for it? Just to remind you of some of the nuts and bolts of the matter, here's an Eyewitness News package.
A pair of bills at the State House would put a 42-hour average work week for firefighters into law, requiring overtime for additional hours worked.
It's a matter of safety for one, and then obviously the quality of life for my membership. If they work a 42-hour schedule, like everyone else essentially works a 40-hour schedule, it allows them to have time off with their families, rest, recover, and come back to work.
Providence Fire Union President Derek Silva says the bill wouldn't change anything about the current schedule in Providence, but it would prevent a future mayor from trying to change it to more than 42 hours. It happened back in 2015 when Providence switched to a 56-hour work week, then changed back to 42.
It takes away bargaining rights.
Susie Yankee, the new chair of the Rhode Island Republican Party, who had her own dispute with firefighters while town council president in East Greenwich, says the bill isn't fair to taxpayers who would shoulder the costs of any extra overtime pay.
I think what you have to do is balance the firefighters against the taxpayers. You have to balance what is good for both of them.
Why do we have minimum wage standards for workers? Why do we have minimum hour standards for workers? Why are workers paid overtime after 40, time and a half on Sundays? Many regulations and laws exist to protect workers, and this is just another one.
The unique aspect of firefighting, though, is that downtime is built into your working hours. Now, you happen to work on one of the, busiest ladders in America, never mind the city or the state, right?
Correct.
So, Derek, tell me what a work day is like for you.
So, in Providence now, we work 24-hour shifts, still the average of the 42. We go from morning till night, and even on the slower nights, when you'd have 1, 2, 3 calls after midnight, as we refer to it, it's not sleep as one would think when you're home in your bed. We're in a station with 16 firefighters.
Now, you got one eye open all the time, right?
Correct.
At least.
Right.
But you go, so when you went from 42 to 56 and then back to 42, your first 40, the previous 42 was 14, 14, I'm sorry, 10, 10, 14, 14, wasn't it?
That's right.
It was 4 on, 4 off. Exactly. Now you're on 24?
Now we're on 24. And like I was saying earlier, there's a number of variations. The version that we do now is 24 on, 48 off, 24 on, 96 off. So 1 on, 2 off, 1 on, 4 off.
I don't even know how to comment because I've never done it before. Is that sweet?
It's
you like
good
that 4 off.
in that the 4 off is nice,
yeah.
Of course.
Because you get yourself readjusted.
Exactly, and that's the key, is the recuperation and the rest that you get from that schedule. We modeled it after Boston. Boston Fire Department is on that exact same schedule, and that's where essentially we got the idea from.
It's helped you?
It's certainly helped.
Helped morale?
Helped morale.
There's an add-on in Providence of personnel, which has prohibited the need to have a lot of overtime, right?
That's right.
We're down to what you said to tell me before the show, like $4 million?
It's projected to be about $4 million for this year.
Versus other years?
During that 3-platoon schedule was $16 million.
Yeah, well, that was a complete, that was an administrative mess from the, from the get-go. When I go to the phone lines on the radio, the complaints are that the comparisons to regular jobs, minimum wage jobs, so some of the things you were saying in the package, rights, benefits, quality of life, all that kind of stuff, don't don't match this unique industry because of the time that you are paid where you have the overnight downtime. So in reality, how much downtime do you really think you have during your work period?
It's really quite hit or miss.
Circumstantial, right?
Right.
There are days / nights, there are 24s that you don't rest?
Yeah, there are no 24s where we're essentially doing nothing. There's always something, whether it's a call for service, inspection, hydrant inspections. There's a number of things that we do outside of the 911 calls.
Oh, so you're on the road checking stuff.
That's right.
And keeping the place. So let me ask you this. What is the average amount of sleep you get in a 24?
Not enough. A couple hours at best, if you would have probably added together in aggregate, certainly not straight through.
Do you think that's a safe schedule?
It's far more safer than the other schedules we worked, particularly because you have that 2 days of rest before you go back in again, and then 4 days again. And because the city has hired appropriately, the overtime doesn't exist, and we're doing the actual average of 42 now.
Okay. Why do you feel the need to be making this argument on behalf of the state's firefighters?
I think when this bill was up 4 years ago, there was a lot of pros and cons, obviously, to passing the legislation that ultimately failed. And now having the benefit to look back at Providence and say, does this 56-hour work week work? And I think the proof is overwhelmingly that it's a failure. If you look at us regionally, surrounding communities, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York State, New Hampshire, they're all on either a 40-hour average or a 42-hour average for firefighters. The 56-hour work week is not a thing in the Northeast New England. And I think when you look at employers, when you look at employment, you have to look at the surrounding areas, the region you're in. You wouldn't look at the salary of a reporter in South Carolina to decide the pay and benefits of a Rhode Island reporter.
All right, let's noodle that one over and talk more about it when we come back.
The hardest problem is that, so the state did pension reform for the cities and towns that were in the state system, so they had some improvement. But for the pensions that are in the municipally run programs, not the state system, and the OPEB, the retiree health, those are all contractual. And it's really hard to unwind or to modify benefits. We just saw this in Warwick. It's really hard to change those without the state or someone else stepping in and giving that authority. So we have these hundreds of millions of dollars of liability. The Treasurer is working on updating that OPEB liability number. We're curious to see how that comes out. But that's on the horizon, and that's going to crush everybody on top of everything else.
There ought to be some kind of superseding state law that says no more renewal of contracts until these contracts run out. Anyway, that's Brian Daniels from the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, who was here last week talking about that pressure. I'll get to that in a second with our guest. What's your read on what's happening in the legislature for this mandatory overtime? Listen, this isn't necessarily about the firefighter who works 43, 44, 45, 46 hours, because it usually doesn't come out that way because of the unique schematic of how firefighters work. It's either 42 or 56 for the most part. It's really just a mechanism to prevent third or 3 platoon systems in 56 hours. I don't know why we're not writing legislation that just demands that everybody run a 42-hour system as opposed to creating an overtime law. You know, I don't think the public really understands what's being argued here. Do you agree?
I think just as the 40-hour work week, there has to be some sort of mechanism for penalty if a firefighter works more than 42 hours. So in effect, that's what the overtime is. It's a penalty for making firefighters work more than 42 hours. The cities and towns control whether or not there's overtime by staffing appropriately. Providence is, again, an example of that, where now they're staffing appropriately. The overtime is essentially null.
Or certainly 25% of what it was during the high time. By the way, what's the overall budget of the firefighter?
Providence, about $45 million budget.
But versus the heyday of the messy 56, where the hires didn't take it over the $16 million worth of overtime, or did it?
No, the budget's actually shrunk, became under audit last year.
Right, but do you understand what I'm saying? It seems to me that this is an argument about the way of doing business as opposed to the hours being put in.
Right.
Correct? I just think. I just don't think this is about punching the clock and having a couple of hours of overtime at time and a half or double time. I think this is about structure.
That's exactly right. It's not about whether or not you're enriching firefighters with more overtime. We're not looking for more overtime. We're looking for our schedules to be reasonable and be at that 42-hour mark.
But here's the thing. I mean, there's been a culture in the fire department world for overtime. A lot of firefighters love their overtime. What's happened to that?
I mean, I think any employee, when they have the ability to work overtime, of course they're going to take it. However, the management, the cities and towns control whether or not that exists at all. Again, by hiring enough firefighters. If there are enough firefighters, overtime no longer exists.
Everybody in Providence happier with less and less overtime?
They're certainly happier going home.
To the person, met anybody in your rank and file that says, come on, Derek, you know, I used to like I mean, it's probably a pay cut for some firefighters,
Oh, there are
right?
certainly some firefighters that would love to have some overtime. But again, it's out of their control.
And they do other things if they need to.
That's right.
Right? On the pension and the OPEB, 26% funded on the pension side?
Right about there.
You're not panicking over that?
No, I think if you look at the reforms that happened in 2012 under Mayor Tavares, they'll work. We got in this mess over 30 years. It's going to take all of that to get out of it. I think eliminating the 6% and 5% compounded COLAs that were just utterly ridiculous, and now having firefighters' pensions capped and having cost of living adjustments that are more common nationally will control that cost in the future. It's just going to take 30 years to get out of it.
What about the health benefits, the OPEB as we know it? That thing that's over $1 billion for the city of Providence, right?
It is, that's right.
When are the unions going to do the smart thing for themselves and start arguing for a state solution to all of these huge municipal pension and OPEB liabilities? I mean, you guys are the ones that are going to lose in the end.
Sure, I think firefighters and unions across the state recognize the costs associated with OPEB, and that's why a lot of them have shifted to Medicare post-65 now to minimize that cost as much as possible.
Is that where you guys are?
That's where we are.
All right, so you guys have done some good work. That's why I'm guessing you agree with me that not every firefighter union argument is the same across the state. It depends on where you've been, what the city is doing, what the history is, all that. I think there's been some good disciplines, some pretty good cooperation on the part of the Providence Firefighter Union, and some structural changes that I think everyone's pretty happy to live with.
That's right.
Why aren't you up at the State House actually talking about the model of how you guys got it done as opposed to arguing this bill?
I think, in essence, especially in Providence, sometimes you have to save the cities and towns from themselves. Had this bill became law 4 years ago, would have saved Providence millions of dollars in settlement and overtime costs then.
All right. We shall see. But everything's good in your fair city.
It's good.
Look how calm he is. The most calm union guy I've ever had on the show. Derek, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Final word when we come back. While they battle it out at Smith Hill over the firefighter overtime, one thing that's not really on the battle plan right now is this notion. Did you know that in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, a teacher can have sex with one of their students without having any criminal implication? Certainly when they're over 16 and under 18. And that loophole is a big problem. Other states have fixed this thing like this, but for some reason, we're all stuck on it here. Our guest tomorrow night will talk to you about that. And we'll see you on the radio at 3 until 6 on WPRO as well. Have a great night.